An emergency surgery, unknowingly, would forever change Cassius Romero's life. What began as appendicitis turned into an extraordinary journey through unknown dimensions, where beings over 2 meters tall awaited him on the other side. But this near-death experience was only the beginning of a series of inexplicable events in his life, including a supernatural encounter that foretold the arrival of his son. However, what shocked him the most was the fact that his mother and his deceased brother brought him messages from beyond after this event, including something revealing about his future child. Hello, I'm Marcus, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to Beyond the Life We Live. I hope you feel at home and absorb the lesson from the story we're about to tell. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It's really important to us and helps us bring you more impactful stories. Cassius Romero, an actor and voice actor, shares his near-death experience that took place in 1998 when he suffered from a ruptured appendix. After experiencing intense pain during the night, Cassius went to the hospital where he was seen but needed to be transferred to another facility. The situation worsened while he waited for the transfer, which lasted from 4 a.m. until 6 p.m. During that time, his condition deteriorated significantly, with episodes of vomiting and increasing discomfort. It was then that he was taken by ambulance to a better-equipped hospital, arriving at night. Already in the hallway, Cassius began to perceive reality differently. He noticed that the people around him seemed different, no longer like ordinary individuals. The ride from the ambulance to the operating room felt extraordinarily long. His then-wife, the mother of his child, said goodbye to him, wishing him luck. In the operating room, as the medical team discussed the severity of his case and the possibility of a ruptured appendix, the anesthesiologist asked him to count to 10. Cassius only managed to count to 2 before finding himself in a completely different place. He found himself in a dark space, floating inside what he described as a kind of sphere or black bubble. Despite the absence of light, he could see himself clearly. Then there was a cut in his perception, like a scene fragment, and he saw himself hovering over his own body during the surgery, watching the doctors operating on his open abdomen. Trying to escape that unsettling sight, Cassius made an effort to move, and at that moment, he felt himself being pulled upward at high speed, passing through the hospital ceiling. After being pulled up rapidly, Cassius arrived in a place he described as wonderful. The environment had calm green grass, water of an unusual shade of blue, and a sky that looked like it was at sunset, around 5:30 p.m. The sunlight was present but not bothersome. In this place, he saw 2 beings who seemed to form a sort of boundary, as if marking how far he could go. These beings were extremely tall, taller than humans, comparable to the height of a doorframe. Despite their different and imposing appearance, they were beautiful. When Cassius saw them, he was startled and had the feeling that he wasn't supposed to be there. The beings, in turn, turned to him with a smile, and through telepathic communication, one of them said,
Cassius, it's not your time. You have to go back.
At that moment, Cassius felt his body being pulled backward, as if by reflex, and he began to be sucked into a tunnel. During the passage through the tunnel, he witnessed images of moments from his life, especially situations where he had acted inappropriately with his family. He saw scenes of himself being spoiled as a child, moments when he was rude to his son's mother, and other situations. However, these memories were not shown as a form of judgment, but rather as an opportunity for reflection. After this experience in the tunnel, Cassius returned to the hospital, but not yet to his physical body. He found himself in the hospital corridor and, while walking through the hallways, came across his deceased grandparents sitting on a bench. Interestingly, although he had been to São Camilo Hospital before for colds and sinus infections, he had never been to Evaldo Foz Hospital. Yet, during this out-of-body experience, he was able to navigate it with familiarity. After the experience, Cassius continued to have extraordinary encounters. In 2014, when his mother passed away, he had to travel to another city to handle matters related to her house. During this process, he began hearing her voice giving specific instructions on how to distribute her belongings, who should receive each piece of furniture, appliances, and personal items. However, the most astonishing moment occurred when he needed to locate his mother's grave in the cemetery. On an intensely hot day around 11 a.m., Cassius struggled to find her burial site. Lost among the cemetery's sections, he suddenly heard her voice giving precise directions.
Go to the entrance gate and face the cemetery with your back to the street.
Following the instructions, she guided him further.
Now take the first path. Turn right at the first section, then take the first small lane.
Even thinking he might be losing his mind, Cassius obeyed, until finally he heard,
"Turn around, you fool."
When he turned, he found himself standing directly in front of his mother's grave, her photo on the headstone. This experience deeply impacted him, proving a connection that transcended physical death. The precision of the instructions and the affectionate way she called him fool were traits she had in life. Cassius, who had always considered himself a skeptic, began to question his own understanding of reality after these supernatural experiences. In 2004, shortly before the birth of his son João, during a voice acting class, Cassius had a striking experience during a relaxation exercise. The speech therapist leading the session suggested a meditation, laying out mats around the room. Initially skeptical, Cassius closed his eyes and suddenly found himself transported to a green garden, similar to the one he had seen during his experience in 1998. The place had lush grass and a small hill in the background under a dazzling blue sky. There, he saw a male figure approaching with a child. As he got closer, Cassius recognized him. It was his brother Leon, who had passed away in 2002. With his usual sarcastic humor, Leon handed him the child, saying,
"Here, take him. He's yours."
At that moment, Cassius jolted awake in the classroom, crying uncontrollably. When João was born a few days later, he didn't look like the child in the vision. However, at the age of 7, João began to resemble exactly the same boy that Leon had shown him in that premonitory experience. Cassius shared this story with Vanessa, João's mother, confirming that he had seen their son before he was even born. This experience, along with many others, further reinforced Cassius's belief in life after death and different dimensions of reality. It also strengthened his bond with his late brother, giving deeper meaning to João's arrival.